Not everyone believes in miracles. Sometimes people just think they're nothing more than good fortunes or coincidences. But it can be hard to deny that some situations are nothing other than a miracle, whether it's a dead man brought back to life or a person surviving a horrible accident. Kicking off our video with this deadly car crash. The miracle here is that nobody died or was injured. Have a look. Now, it's not very often that a car accident actually saves lives, but that's exactly what happened in October 2019 in Phoenix, Arizona. A couple was crossing a busy road with a baby in a stroller as traffic moved with purpose all around them. Suddenly, a Chevy Cruze driving through a green light collided with a Jeep that had run a red light and was heading straight for the couple. If the Chevy hadn't crashed into the Jeep, the vehicle would likely have struck the couple and their baby, potentially leading to severe injuries or even death. After the collision, the occupants of the Jeep, driver Ernesto Otana Silvestre and his female passenger, fled the scene on foot. A witness followed them and Ernesto told him to stop before stabbing one of the doors of his vehicle. Ernesto was later arrested and charged with driving under the influence, aggravated assault, and prohibited possession after a gun was found in his Jeep. Fortunately, not only were the couple and their baby unharmed, but the driver of the Chevy Cruze also avoided life-threatening injuries. All's well that ends well. But the Chevy Cruze driver was definitely an angel that night. In this next video, however, not everyone involved in the car crash was fortunate. However, there's a silver lining. When Jennifer Grosbeck was driving home along a road in Utah after dinner at her father's house, she swerved off the road, hit the concrete wall of a bridge, and flipped her car over into the icy waters of the Spanish Fork River. 14 long hours later, a driver reported seeing the vehicle with a hand hanging out of a broken window. When local police officers arrived at the scene, they desperately tried to get inside the car. The water was so cold that 7 policemen and firemen had to be treated for hypothermia. 2 minutes into the footage of the rescue attempt, the rescuers' microphones pick up an adult voice asking for help. "We don't need any help for traffic control. Cars are in the river," one of the officers responds, saying that they're helping and they're coming. When they arrived at the car and found it on its side, they realized the woman driver was long dead. But her 18-month-old daughter, Lily, was strapped into a child's seat in the back. The seat kept her out of the water, but she was unconscious and suffering from hypothermia. Fortunately, Lily was revived in the hospital. The entire ordeal was dramatic, but multiple officers recall hearing the adult voice that day and can't explain where it would have come from. Maybe baby Lily had a guardian angel. But moving on, we have one of the most bizarre people in today's video. What do you imagine when we say that a holy man hasn't eaten or drank water for 70 years? It's insane, right?
Could this man hold the key to survival under extreme conditions? Prahlad Jani has been described as a hermit who claims to have wandered around India's jungles from the age of 8 and not eaten or drunk anything for nearly 70 years. His claims are now being put to the test. A key Indian medical institute is observing him in a private hospital in the western state of Gujarat, with already astonishing results.
That we are all watching a miracle in the science or biology, so to say, because it's already 108 hours since Mataji's admission into this hospital, and he has not eaten anything, he has not drank a little drop of any kind of liquid, but more importantly, he has not passed a drop of urine or stool.
The hospital has said that initial tests have shown the man has a brain resembling that of a 25-year-old, and that yogic exercises meant his body has undergone a biological transformation. Studying him could allow scientists and doctors to understand better how to survive without food or water for long periods, perhaps even help in exploring the universe.
India is now proposing to have missions to moon, manned mission to moon, and in the long run to Mars also. So how people can survive? This strategy, if we understand how people are surviving without food and water, that may help us in working out strategies for making people to live without.
If someone were to tell you that they hadn't eaten any food or had anything to drink for 70 years, you'd probably think they were experiencing a mental crisis. Ask any medical professional and they'll tell you it's impossible to survive even a fraction of that time without food and water. However, Prahlad appears to be different. In 2010, the 82-year-old Indian man claimed that the last time he ate any food was at the beginning of World War II, and he hasn't had even a single grain of rice since then. He also said he could walk 100 to 200 kilometers through the jungle without sweating or feeling tired, and could meditate for several hours, days, or even months. Medical professionals were skeptical and kept him in a hospital in Gujarat for 15 days. They monitored him around the clock, and he didn't consume anything. He also suffered no ill effects from not eating or drinking, which was proven by the many tests they ran. No one can verify that Prahlad never ate or drank anything in 70 years, but he said he left his home at 7 years old and lived in the jungle. At age 11, he went through a religious experience and became a follower of Amba, the Hindu goddess. He says she sustained him with an invisible elixir that gave him the strength to live without food and water. But moving on, the next entry on this list is quite extraordinary. It's also the first Christian miracle to make it to this video. Now, many Christians are massive believers in miracles. The Virgin Mary has appeared to believers throughout history, and this one is no exception. We're talking about the Virgin Mary of Clearwater, Florida.
As the end of the millennium beckons, visions are appearing in the most unlikely places. In Tampa, Florida, over 500,000 people have visited the Seminole Finance Building to see a 35-foot-high image of the Virgin Mary.
Hallelujah! That's right, that's it!
It's kind of hard to say whether it's real or not, but I think it is. I think everyone's been waiting for this, and it's about time.
The building's owners say that the image first appeared in November and deny painting anything onto the glass. Crowds have turned the street into a shrine, convinced that the image is a message from God.
I think it's a sign, you know. Did you ever seen anything like this before in your life?
On December 17, 1996, the occupants of the Seminole Finance Company in Clearwater, Florida, noticed an unusual stain on their glass windows. It was massive, 60 feet tall by 20 feet wide. And even more remarkable was that it was in the shape of the Virgin Mary. When people posted a picture of the stained glass online, at least 500,000 visitors flocked to the finance company's building. Those hundreds of thousands of visitors eventually turned into millions, and religious devotees were convinced the glass was a miracle. Most glazers weren't so sure. Many believed the metallic coating in the glass had corroded, but they still couldn't explain why the corrosion had occurred in the shape of the Virgin Mary. Mike Chrismanick, who owned the building at the time, believed divine intervention was at play. He turned the building into a religious shrine to protect the image and sold it to the Shepherds of Christ, a Catholic ministry organization. They renamed it Our Lady of Clearwater. A wooden crucifix was installed next to it, and the second floor of the building became a rosary factory. As the years passed, interest in the glass waned. In 2004, a teenager shot some of the glass panes, destroying the image. Those panes were replaced with standard glass, but what was left of the Virgin Mary was covered with bulletproof glass for protection. But moving on, we have another mysterious photo captured on camera.
Did this photo capture a miracle? The image shows a glowing silhouette hovering above a pickup truck in northern Michigan.
I was just like, whoa! I thought, that's an angel.
Local Fire Chief Glenn Thorman says his home's motion sensor security camera snapped the photo around midnight. A second image shows the angel appearing to be flying away. His wife Rhonda is taking it as a sign her home is blessed.
We're just strong believers, so it was just awesome to have that picture come through, and there's just no way that it's not an angel.
So what do you see? Social media response was mixed. "Definitely an angel," wrote one Facebook commenter. "It looks like a moth that's close to the camera," posted another.
There's a lot of naysayers that make fun of it and whatever, and that's okay.
I do truly consider it a blessing. It's definitely an angel.
Michigan Fire Chief Glenn Thorman from East Jordan captured something unusual on his home security camera. The camera, which starts taking pictures when it detects motion, was facing his pickup truck and took photos in the dead of night showing what appeared to be an angelic figure hovering above the truck. There was no mistaking what it looked like. An angel, Glenn said. He was blown away by the picture and couldn't wait to send it to his wife. Glenn's church also posted the photos to their Facebook page, saying there was no question about who was watching over their residence while they slept. The church also confirmed that the photos hadn't been altered in any way. The second photo showed the angel moving away. Commenters were equally as shocked by the images, with one saying it affirmed their belief in the afterlife and that our loved ones are always closer than we think. However, photographer Joe Clark wasn't so sure. He said the angel appeared moth-shaped, with visible wings and a head. He also pointed out that since it wasn't clearly in focus, there's room for interpretation. "It's hard to know whether it's an angel or a moth," he said, "but there's no denying it looks like the angels you see in films and read about in books." But finally, here's a massive admission by astronauts who acknowledged that they encountered space angels. When astronauts say they saw angels in space, they actually did. As the story goes, Russian cosmonauts were on the Soviet space station Salyut 7. They were on day 155 of their mission when they reported seeing strange lights and what looked like beings. The commander, Oleg Gotkov, and two cosmonauts, Vladimir Solovyov and Leonid Kitsum, said the space station was bathed in orange light, which seemed to come from outside the space station and illuminate an opaque wall. The orange light was so bright that the crew was temporarily blinded. When their vision returned, they looked out the portholes to see if they could identify the light source, but they couldn't. However, the orange light wasn't the only thing they had seen. The cosmonauts also reported seeing the faces of 7 angels hovering outside the space station. They proceeded to tell ground control that the angels appeared to be humanoid, with human-like faces and bodies, but also with wings and halos. According to the cosmonauts, the angels remained at the same pace as the space station before disappearing after around 10 minutes. On day 167, the same thing happened again with another team, but the old Soviet Union declared the incident top secret, and the cosmonauts were told not to speak about it publicly. So, did the astronauts indeed encounter paranormal activity while in space? We leave that up to you to decide. Do you think angels and miracles are real? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.